part. Maybe I'm wrong. If I'm wrong, I'll edit this out. But I
the
think he was the
editor
one who
will
was like,
maintain his credibility.
Hail, Internet! It's Paul. It's Matt. The Dork Lords. We're here talking about The Mandalorian. Season 3, Episode 6. Guns for Hire. We open with Bo-Katan's former Mandalorian comrades, led by Axe Woves. I mean, you could tell he wasn't born to be a chemistry teacher. What's your name? Axe! In any case, those Mandalorians are now mercenary bounty hunters. They catch up with a Quarren ship, demand the return of the Mon Calamari Viceroy hidden aboard, essentially breaking up like a Romeo and Juliet romance. But notably, I think, they do so without physical violence. I mean, it's a threat of physical violence.
Yes, exactly.
But,
hey, we're Mandalorians, so you know we'll meet it.
Right, but they don't go and shoot everybody on the ship. So good for them.
No. Yeah.
We end with Bo-Katan defeating Axe in single combat, getting the Darksaber in a somewhat anticlimactic way, which we'll talk about, and reclaiming leadership of her former comrades and their fleet of ships. In between was a story set on the planet Plazir 15, which again we'll talk about. I should mention that typically Paul watches the episodes before I do. I tend to go to bed around midnight. Paul is a night owl, not one of the Mandalorians, but you get my drift. Anyway, given Paul has been meh about this season so far, I was pleasantly surprised to see a text from Paul saying, "Not bad."
See?
That's high praise from Paul, especially for this season of Mandalorian. So I went into this episode with higher expectations.
Oh, did I screw you up?
I can't say those expectations were met. But so with that background, Paul, I'm fascinated to hear what did you think of episode 6?
I thought not bad.
All right. I misinterpreted your not bad, apparently, is what it was. That's on me.
Yes, that was, yeah. Not bad.
Okay. In other words, kind of like the rest of the season. Okay.
Yeah, I mean, 1 out of 10, I guess I'll give it a 7. I mean, you know.
Okay. Well, that's higher than some of the other episodes you've talked about.
Some of the other ones, yeah, some of the early ones, but I feel like it's on par with some of the previous ones we just had.
So are you saying this is the best of the episodes in this season so far, or?
Oh, I can't say that.
Okay.
If I were to boil it down, there was less, shots of Grogu in there, and they moved the Bo-Katan story along. A lot of that Christopher Lloyd stuff I liked. So I had things against this episode, but for the most part, it was more upside than downside. So.
Okay. All right. We keep coming back to the word cartoon, and it did feel kind of cartoonish again to me here with the Plazir 15, just the nature of it. There were some interesting points to it, though, and we'll talk about that. But yeah, it was like, you had cameos. You had Christopher Lloyd, Lizzo, and Jack Black all showing up, and it was like, okay, I know who all those people are. Apart from their characters, it took me out of that a little bit. But I should say, interestingly, Star Wars Celebration is underway as we speak.
Yes.
A lot of announcements happening.
Sure.
But the most relevant announcement to this is that Dave Filoni is directing a film set in the New Republic era, which is supposedly going to close out the Mandalorian / Book of Boba Fett storylines.
Oh, that's interesting.
So this all appears to be heading towards a film finale, FYI. So that,
okay.
Yeah.
We can go straight to the, what the core of the ultimate meaning of this episode was, which is Bo-Katan takes command or takes possession of the saber, the Darksaber, and has pretty much, I feel like she's pretty much unified the Mandalorian by now, or I don't know if there's like other sects that are,
It's the Night Owls and the Death Watch, and is there someone else out there?
Yeah.
Apparently not. I think the unification has happened. So now reclaiming Mandalore is at the forefront.
But the fact that it happened, I'm more forgiving of perhaps than you. It's where it's like the event that occurred that made it possible was episodes ago. And maybe you would have liked a conversation at that time or something about what it meant?
Yes. Yeah. Yes. Yeah, I think I would have been fine with this. So, I mean, for those, whatever. I've seen some people compare this to the Elder Wand scenario in Harry Potter, where it's like, wait, but Malfoy defeated Dumbledore, and then Harry defeated Malfoy, so hence the wand the ownership passes to. But yeah, so I guess if they just had, as you say, a conversation in episode 2 where it was like, yep, you have now claimed this, because in episode 2, Bo-Katan and Mando, for that matter, apparently didn't consider the circumstance, which is Bo killing the cyborg that disarmed Mando,
right,
as justification for Bo-Katan claiming ownership of the Darksaber. She gives it back to Mando. He accepts it. And so I feel like that should be it. Like, that's, it seems weak a bit that 4 episodes later they're like, no, actually, she won it fair and square. I've just been wielding it and claiming it as my own for the last month as a ruse.
No, you don't think it's credible that perhaps he didn't really think about that until he was there arguing about it?
I mean, I guess, but boy, I'll say this. I think everyone and their uncle watching episode 2 was like, oh, well, there she goes. She's got the Darksaber now.
I don't know if anybody said that. Well, she did say yes, you're right. She did say, oh, now she has it. Yeah. And then at the end she gives it back to him. So I think everybody was just sort of like, oh, okay, I guess that's not good enough.
Right, which then I feel like then means it's not good enough. I guess that's like, I mean, sure.
Because I think what you could argue there is that in her mind, the fact that she was rejected by her people means that she, is taking it harder than, taking it really hard, and therefore she's not like, well, does this do it? What about this? Well,
right.
He's like, boy, they just rejected me. It didn't mean anything to them. Didn't they see that episode when the person just gave it to me? God damn it.
Yeah, I do feel like Axe, I mean, he accepted. He's like, you're right. That is the way this works. Yep. And I was like, he could have played hardball on this pretty easy. Yes. You're like, wait, that's pretty convenient.
Yes.
Like, you're the only person who witnessed this.
Right,
you walk up with it. You're like, no, she got it fair and square.
I think they always assume that Mandalorians don't lie. They can take their helmet off, and that's terrible. But obviously, it's not like, I've got my helmet on. No, it's not on. You're lying. It's like,
I think that could have been, worked a little better, frankly. But is it the worst thing ever? No, she did technically win this thing, and you could see in the in the legalese of it. Let me look back at the technicality A.73. You lost it. I won it back, so I get it. Yes. Okay, I understand. So at least that plot point has been settled, and now they move on. But that was a pretty small section, really, of this episode. I mean, it was the fight, I guess, was a pretty reasonable size, but I felt like it was like 5 minutes. Maybe it was more like 10. But most of the episode was an attempt to do like a gotta go solve the mystery to get the key to get to the comrades.
Sure.
And it just, like, the mystery part itself, I thought there were points about it that felt weak.
Like, let's go to the lab and see what it could mean. It's Jim from Taxi.
I mean, that's okay. Let's go to that. So we have Christopher Lloyd is kind of the ultimate culprit in all this.
Yes, he is. Commissioner Helgert.
I don't know what his plan was. So he's a separatist.
Yes,
he hates the New Republic and the Empire. He's a follower of Count Dooku. We get that name drop. And he's been secretly sabotaging the old Imperial droids to make them malfunction.
Yes.
And so when he's caught, they're like, come with us. He threatens to push this big red button at his desk.
Yes.
Which he says will turn all the droids back into battle droids, which will wipe out the human population.
Sure.
So if that was his plan all along,
yes,
why wait? couldn't he have pushed that button weeks ago? Or maybe even better, don't make a giant red button on your desk. Just covertly give your own Order 66. I don't get why it was them coming to arrest him that makes him go, oh, well, now I'll enact my plan that I've been...
Right. Well, I think you could say that it's probably not his plan. Otherwise, he just would have pressed it.
Sure. Okay. But I didn't get
So I don't think it's fair to assume that that's his plan.
Okay, then what's his plan?
Right. Well, I mean, they seem to say, like, look at this. Because of this, people are wanting to get rid of these robots, and we don't want that. We want the people to be lazy. So you could suggest that that's his plan. His plan is to get everybody to not like the droids anymore and to get rid of them.
His plan was to get people to not like droids, hence be a better functioning society? Is that the idea?
Yeah, maybe, or maybe just doesn't like, I don't know, maybe he's like Mando. I guess I don't know. Yeah, I guess I'm just guessing, really. So yeah.
Well, think about it though. I would argue this. Bo-Katan makes that argument. She says earlier in the episode, well, why don't we just turn off all the droids? He's like, oh, no, this society would fall apart if we didn't have the droids working. So he's the one who actually is an impediment to turning the droids off.
Is he the one saying that, or was it? I thought it was Jack Black saying no, we can't do that.
I don't think so. I think he says there's a button that'll turn them off. They say do it, and he's like, no, society would fall apart. But here's a list of malfunctioning droids. You can track them down, and we can deal with them individually. I think that's kind of where that went. But right. I don't know. I honestly don't know his motivation. So maybe you are correct.
I guess me just bullshitting about it.
Okay.
Maybe it's evidence of the fact that it wasn't clear exactly what he wanted.
See, I just felt like it was maybe.
Yeah. And this whole thing about separatists and Dooku and all that. I guess I would have liked more of a sense of what the fuck that was all about.
Yep, correct.
At the time, it didn't bother me, but I was just sort of like, yeah, that's fine.
Yeah, right. Yeah, exactly. It's fine.
Because, we needed to get to that point. So, it resolved itself? Good. Now they can go and talk to the guy. Yay!
Right. I mean, another thing that felt forced was so you have the resistor bar. I like the idea of the resistor bar, right? It was like a nice reversal of Mos Eisley. Mos Eisley Cantina, no droids. Here it's all droids.
Yes,
so that's fun. So good on that. But they have business cards, essentially. Why does a droid need a card to walk around with? I'm like, don't they have memory banks? Are they like, oh, I'd forgotten about that place. Thank God I had this business card that I could. Anyway, so that was a little, that felt a little shaky. Like, that's something that you would have in a noir mystery, perhaps, with people. But this is a droid, and you're like, oh, I found his pocket, and inside there's a card to a bar. Okay, probably would have chosen something else for that, but okay, So yeah, I just thought there were some plot points there that were a little not the best. But something that I do like. Okay, so there's the scene. Actually, the result of this scene, I'm like, okay, but we see our Lizzo and Jack Black.
Yes.
In a scene that reminded me of Alice in Wonderland, and I think that was intentional. I don't know. It feels like the Queen of Hearts playing croquet. They had the croquet scene with the animals, and they're using beetles, and they're bouncing the ball and the stuff. And I don't know, it felt like the Queen of Hearts playing croquet in Wonderland, and it made me think of perhaps what they're trying to do. And this is a stretch, perhaps, but I got out of it that maybe Plaisir 15, like Wonderland, is this superficially idyllic, but underneath as a place with these major real world type problems.
Oh, okay.
And so like hey, we made this perfect society and no one has to work. Well, the droids do all the work, and there's these Ugnaughts that live in a basement and do a bunch of work, and there's a morgue attendant, and the commissioner has a staff that all has to sit there. But the elites are all fine, and we don't have to work. So, like, there was a sense of, like, everything's happy and smiley, but is it? I just want, like, that's what I was getting at. That I actually maybe wanted to see more of, like, Plaisir 15 isn't all it's shaped up to be, but
yeah, maybe not. Although it's unfortunate that that's the only. Apparently, I mean, if they're correct, the only true democracy
Right.
that's in that area there, then too bad. This is maybe there are other forms of government that are better than democracy because
Yeah, because you think about it, it's also a parallel in some ways to Coruscant, right? So Coruscant's shiny, happy, but then they have like, oh, here's the old world underneath and all that stuff. And maybe you can make a correlation between Jack Black's character and Dr. Pershing, because they're both former Imperials that both seem like they're trying, like sincere in their attempts to turn a new leaf, right? And they're part of these worlds that maybe aren't quite as, the New Republic isn't quite as awesome as everybody would like it to be. You know, it seems to be a thing. So I'll give the show credit, I think, on that level. I think that, again, I think I mentioned before in like last episode, the execution was clunky. Execution was clunky here. Showing us
I respect that. Yeah, I just it's wearing me down. I was like, hey, whoa, less Grogu. I'm good. That's although that that bit that oh, we will now make him whatever they made him. The Knights
him.
of the
Yeah, that's the point where I was saying the result of the croquet match was a
that
problem.
kept it from being an 8.
Yeah, yeah. Grogu gets knighted for helping Lizzo cheat at croquet.
Yeah.
I guess, like, why that felt so, again, very forced. Like, hey, let's put him into the show. Look, oh, you're knighted. Okay. They definitely shoehorned Grogu into the episode in some small way. That was it. That was his way.
Yeah. They know where their bread is buttered.
Exactly. I thought the execution, again, lacked. But I appreciate, as you mentioned, they have this ending beat that was engaging, which is Bo now has unified the Mandalorians. Apparently, also at the Star Wars Celebration, they showed a few minutes of Episode 7. So this isn't really even a spoiler so much, but whatever. Spoilers in case you're like, oh, don't tell me anything about Episode 7. But it right in the beginning, we're with Moff Gideon. So he's like, now I'm being told that the Mandalorians are doing bad things and I must go stop them. So anyway, that's where we're headed in episodes 7 and 8. It's kind of a meh episode. Again, not bad. Not bad. Well done, Paul. I shouldn't have been so like interpreting what Paul meant by not bad. That's exactly what it meant.
So now if I say not bad, you're like, oh, so it sucked.
Right, exactly. Yeah.
The thing that occurred to me as there's been this discussion about some franchises, perhaps more about Marvel, in that a theory is that, if they maybe didn't do so much, didn't put out so much there, maybe it would be more special.
Oh, sure. Yep.
And, right now, with this announcement, there's plenty more coming.
Plenty more coming. Yeah, actually, I'll say this. The trailer for the Ahsoka show looked great, so there you go.
I'd say it looked good. I'm suspicious in that, like, the dialogue that was in it was not bad, but it was still very simplistic dialogue.
Yep, yes.
And also, it just suggests to me that I feel like I was not especially encouraged by Dave Filoni directing a movie. I feel like it's actually like I wish they were like, more like Andor, so really,
Andor season 2, it's coming.
More of that, but so that's
Well, I think the benefit of Dave Filoni is he was they call him an apprentice, but he was a Padawan of George Lucas, and he knows Star Wars. I don't think anybody could doubt that he's like, when it comes to knowing all of the story beats and even the extended lore, he knows it. So he's a guy that's well versed in Star Wars. But yeah, when it comes to script writing, not a strong suit of Mr. Filoni.
So they may feel like they have something, and maybe they do. In that, if everything is like this and everybody's happy with it, is basically, then Dave Filoni's responsible, and that's good. But I prefer Tony Gilroy's. I wish they put him in charge. And
correct.
And so so I just I wish they were just sort of like, okay, how can we get more of that tone into what we're doing? And if they just got infused some of these dialogue scenes with that and did more like with that, we just saw a society there, and it wasn't that interesting. The more important thing about that society, I feel like they could have gotten some really good actors in there who maybe didn't need to have their time cut down. How much time are they going to get with Lizzo? Oh, okay, well, make sure that it's only one scene, and they can only do that, as opposed to getting a real good actor in there, and then they can have more scenes, and that could have been, the drama could have been heightened. So
yeah, and it's like, it's almost a shame that they gave us Andor, because it's like you see, wait, you can actually have good scripts. It's right there.
That would be like, oh wow, great!
It was so recent.
Yeah.
But damn it. So I think for story beats, I think Dave Filoni's probably the right guy to go and to link the lore together. I think he can do that in creative ways, but he needs a script writer, and maybe just pull the Andor script writing team over and let them have at it. But so there is a lot coming. It's true that Star Wars Celebration stuff is like bang 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 bang, the Acolyte, a bunch of stuff. But we'll be back talking about episodes 7 and 8, and we'll see how this thing, how the ship lands.
Yes.
How they bring us in for a landing. So let's go free Mandalore. Thank you, Paul, as always, good sir.
You're welcome.
And we'll talk to everybody next time.